There were 12 coffee mugs in the sink. Not mine. She doesn't even drink coffee at home anymore. The funny thing is, I started noticing the tiny things after I stopped speaking. After I stopped asking where she'd been or why her perfume lingered so strongly at midnight. After I stopped apologizing for needing her. The silence made everything louder. She came home last Thursday in a red coat I hadn't seen before. A little wrinkled. Not hers. Her lipstick was half gone. She smelled like cologne I didn't wear. She walked past me like a shadow, kissed me on the cheek out of habit, then asked if I wanted anything from the Thai place she was about to order from. I said no. She smiled like I was difficult. That's when I started watching her. Closely, like a stranger in my own house. She always ordered enough food for two. She always took her phone to the bathroom. She never put her wedding ring back on after showers anymore. And once, just once, I caught her humming while doing her makeup at 11 p.m. For someone who claimed she was tired all the time, she was very alive when I wasn't supposed to be looking. So I stopped looking. I started listening. To doors. To water running when no one was washing. To footsteps above me when I pretended to sleep on the couch. To quiet whispers through Bluetooth earbuds she thought I didn't notice. I wasn't paranoid. I was collecting data. Until one night, the lights flickered, just once, and I caught a glimpse of her face in the mirror as she passed behind me. She didn't look guilty. She looked pleased. Like a secret was feeding her soul. And that scared me more than anything. Not the affair. Not the lies. But how fulfilled she looked. It wasn't me doing that. So I made a quiet decision. No confrontation. No fight. No warning. I made myself disappear inside the house first. Didn't speak. Didn't ask. Didn't touch. I became what she treated me like. Background. And she didn't notice. Not at first. Not when I stopped leaving notes on the fridge. Not when I stopped leaving her favorite candy on her desk. Not when I stopped saying good night. But by day 6, something shifted. She tried to kiss me, and I tilted my head. Slightly. She asked if something was wrong. I didn't answer. Just blinked. She frowned like I was the one breaking something. And that night, she cried. Not because she missed me, but because she couldn't control me anymore. The phone calls didn't start until after I left. But we'll get there. Right now, I need to explain what was inside the shoe box I found under her side of the bed. The one I was never supposed to open. The one with the photo that shattered every single memory I thought was real. It wasn't a dramatic shoe box. Just matte black cardboard. No label, no locks. Dusty, like it hadn't been touched in months. But when I pulled it out from under her side of the bed, my stomach already knew before my hands even lifted the lid. I wasn't snooping. I swear I wasn't. I was looking for my missing headphones. I hadn't even planned to go near her stuff. But it was there, poking out just enough that it seemed out of place. Like it wanted to be found. Inside, there were receipts. Old ones. Mostly random. Airport parking, a floral boutique I didn't recognize, a hotel from 3 towns over. I flipped through them slowly, one by one, my heart keeping score. I was ready to find the worst, and I thought I could handle it. Then I saw the photo. It wasn't recent. That's what made it worse. It was us, me and her, from about 5 years ago, at her sister's engagement party. I remembered that day. I'd worn a stupid checkered shirt she hated. She wore a light green dress that clung to her like it had been stitched by memory itself. She was laughing in the picture, her head thrown back. I was mid-blink, mouth open. We looked happy. Not perfect, but real. But there was something wrong with the photo. It had a message on the back, written in her handwriting. Curvy, slanted, rushed. The last day I truly loved him. I sat there, holding that photograph like it was a burning document in a courtroom. I read it again, then again, trying to make sense of it, trying to justify it. Was she just journaling? Was it a metaphor? Was it something else entirely? But no matter how I sliced it, the timeline broke in my head. Because 5 years ago, we had just moved into this house. 5 years ago, she was the one dragging me into weekend IKEA trips and late-night Amazon sprees for matching lamps and bath mats. 5 years ago, she was still texting me, "Come home fast. I miss your face." So what changed? When did I become unlovable? And why had she stayed? It was like discovering your favorite book had an alternate ending, and you had no idea you'd been reading the wrong version. I put the box back where I found it. Not because I was done, but because I wanted her to think I hadn't seen it. That night, I laid in bed next to her, barely breathing. She reached for me in her sleep, the way she used to when she needed comfort. I didn't move. I let her hand fall on my shoulder, limp. I let her pretend I was still there, because part of me wasn't. The next day, she made me pancakes. She only does that when she wants something or when she's guilty. I didn't say a word as she slid the plate in front of me. She wore that new red coat again when she left for work. I noticed a faint scratch on her neck. Diagonal. Not from clothing. Not from anything accidental. And for the first time, I didn't wonder if she was seeing someone else. I just wondered how long she thought she could keep pretending I didn't notice. When her calls started days later, after I finally vanished for real, I didn't answer. But I saved the voicemails. All of them. Because what she said in the fourth one almost made me reply. Almost. I didn't expect her to leave voicemails. She was never the type. In arguments, she'd go silent for days, let things rot in the dark. But now that I'd gone quiet, really quiet, she couldn't handle the echo. The first voicemail came 2 nights after I disappeared. Her voice was casual, like she was still pretending this was all a misunderstanding. Hey, just wondering where you are? I thought you said you had a late meeting. Text me. No panic. No suspicion. She still thought she had control. The second voicemail arrived the next morning. Still calm, but now with a hint of edge. Okay, I've called like 6 times. Not trying to be annoying, but seriously, are you okay? This isn't funny. Funny. I wasn't trying to be funny. The third voicemail was shorter. Colder. Look, if this is about that thing I said last week, you're really overreacting. Can you just stop with the drama and come home? That thing she said. She meant when I tried to touch her, and she snapped. Why do you always need to be so clingy? That night, I poured myself a glass of wine in the quiet little rental I'd found. It had no TV, no couch, just a mattress, a kettle, and a lamp that flickered when it rained. But I felt safer in that flickering silence than I had in our full-sized home in months. Then came the fourth voicemail. It started with just breathing. A long pause. Then, I found the box. I froze. I know you looked inside. You put it back too neatly. That's not how I left it. Another pause. She exhaled shakily. I didn't mean for you to see that photo. I swear. It was from a rough time. I wasn't in a good place. I didn't even remember writing that message. I only found it again a few months ago, and I didn't throw it out because it reminded me how far we've come. I know things have been off, but that's not the whole story. Emery, please just call me back. Please. She was crying by the end. Not the performative kind she used with her friends. Not the sniffle cry she used when someone called her out. Real crying. Scared. Cornered. And for a second, I softened. Until I remembered what else I had found that same night in her email drafts folder, the one she never emptied. She must have assumed I never checked our shared laptop anymore. There was a message she wrote to him. She never sent it. But it was sitting there, dated 2 weeks before I left. I wish I could spend the night with you again without feeling guilty. He's just always around. Always trying. I feel like I'm suffocating under the weight of his love. He doesn't even realize it's over. There was more. Too much more. Nicknames. Memories I was never a part of. Promises to meet after the conference. The way she talked about me like I was some pathetic background character in a show she was bored of. The crying in that voicemail? That wasn't regret. That was fear. Fear of being caught. Fear of losing the backup plan. Fear that the loyal man she thought would never leave had finally chosen silence over begging. And that terrified her. That night, I started my own list, not of her mistakes, not of her lies, but of her patterns. I called it the mirror list. Because for the first time, I wasn't looking at who she was pretending to be. I was staring straight into what she'd become. And one pattern stood out immediately. She only apologized when she thought I might never come back. It was raining when she found me. Only it wasn't her. I hadn't told anyone where I was. I had paid in cash, rented the small guest house under a fake name, and parked my car 2 blocks away from the property so even nosy neighbors wouldn't know someone lived here. There was no GPS trail, no receipts, no digital breadcrumbs. So when I heard the knock at the door, one short, one long, then another short, I froze. I don't get visitors. Not out here. My first thought was that it was her, that she'd tracked me down, that all the walls I'd built were about to fall apart with one confrontation. But it wasn't her voice. It was a woman. Quiet. Nervous. She leaned close to the door and said, Emery, I think we need to talk. I'm not here to hurt you. Just open the door. Please. The name startled me more than the voice. No one here knew my name. I opened the door slowly, hand braced on the frame, and found myself face to face with someone I'd only seen once in the background of Danika's Facebook photos. Her name was Celine, her co-worker. She was the one who always left laughing emojis on Danika's selfies. The one who commented things like, "Love you, queen," and "You deserve better." The one Danica once described as, "just my chaotic friend, don't take her seriously." But she didn't look chaotic now. She looked like someone carrying too much truth and not enough time to bury it. I didn't invite her in. I just stepped aside. She walked past me into the tiny cabin, looked around like she was surprised this was where I ended up. Like she'd expected more. That made two of us. Then she said something I'll never forget. "I didn't come here to apologize for her. I came to apologize for staying quiet." I didn't say anything. Just listened. She sat down at the edge of the bare twin mattress like it hurt to carry the weight of what she knew. And then she told me everything. Not just about Trayvon, but about 3 others, one of whom had stayed at our house. On a weekend I was out of town for a conference she encouraged me to go to. She told me how Danica joked behind my back at work, saying I was sweet, like an old golden retriever, loyal, boring, always there. She even showed me screenshots Danica had sent her. Messages, photos, half-written breakup letters she never sent. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked finally. Celine looked up at me, and for the first time, I saw fear in someone else's eyes. "Because she told us you'd never leave, that you were too soft, too spineless to disappear. And when you did, it shook her. She's not used to consequences." And I realized, I helped her avoid them. I sat there, heart in my throat, as she pulled something from her purse. A USB drive. She deleted everything from her phone. But I backed up some stuff when I got scared. She talks big, but she's reckless. This has her email logs, voice memos, even some footage from the house. Hidden cam. She didn't know I had access. I stared at it. It felt radioactive in my hand. "She made us think you were the problem, Emery." I believed her. We all did. I didn't respond. Not yet. Because my ears were ringing. My vision was narrowing. I was finally, undeniably face to face with confirmation of what I feared most. It wasn't just that she didn't love me. It's that she made a game of how long I'd beg her to pretend she did. After Celine left, I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just sat on the floor, holding the USB in my hand like it was my own death certificate. But as midnight crept in and the storm outside turned violent, one voicemail came through, from Danica. I didn't answer, but I listened to it twice. Because in it, she said something strange. Not desperate, not angry, not sad. She whispered, "You don't know what you've started." And then hung up. I stared at the USB drive for hours. Didn't plug it in. Didn't even move it. Just sat there on the edge of the bed like I was holding a detonator. Celine said it had answers, but answers weren't what I needed. I needed to unbelieve the things I'd already seen. Because once you watch a memory turn into a lie, everything else starts to rot with it. By the time I finally connected the drive to my laptop, my hands were shaking. Not from fear. From something worse. That quiet, unbearable anticipation of a truth you can't unlearn. A feeling like grief before the death even happens. The files were organized in folders. Celine had labeled them by date, some going back over a year. One folder was titled Greenlight. Another, July Weekend. But the one that made my skin crawl was simply called Drafts. I clicked that one first. Inside were voice memos. I clicked on the earliest one. It was Danica's voice, not the polished version she used in public. Not the cold, clipped one I'd grown used to at home. This voice was hushed, almost playful, whispering. "He's still sleeping next to me. I can hear him breathing. He bought me this dumb crystal necklace today, said it reminded him of me. God, he's so pure. Like a sad cartoon dog. He thinks we're reconnecting. I think I might lose my mind." She giggled. I closed the file before it finished. Not because I couldn't listen, but because I'd heard enough. I opened another. Later that same month. Sometimes I wonder what would happen if he just disappeared. Not dead. Not hurt. Just gone. Would I miss him? Would anyone? I opened one more. This one had a pause before it started. Her breathing was uneven. "Blake says it's cruel, that I should just end it. But I told him I can't. Emery's my safety net. He's my plan B. You don't throw away something that will always wait for you." Plan B. That one phrase made me see myself differently. All those moments I thought I was being romantic, reassuring, consistent. To her, I was just a contingency. I closed the folder and leaned back, the laptop screen flickering in the reflection of the rain on the window. I felt like I was floating above my own life, watching myself realize in slow motion that everything I gave was never wanted. It was tolerated. Then I opened the folder called Greenlight. Inside were videos. One in particular was time-stamped 2 weeks before I left. It was taken from a hidden camera, probably a nanny cam disguised as something else. The angle showed the edge of our couch, part of the hallway, and the dining room table. Danica was in frame, wearing the sweater I bought her last Christmas. Her laptop open. She was pacing. Then someone entered the frame. Not Trayvon. Not Blake. It was Trevor, my older brother. He was supposed to be living in Chicago. We hadn't seen each other in months. Maybe longer. But there he was, stepping into the home I paid for, laughing like he belonged there. She greeted him with a kiss. Not on the cheek. Not the kind that said, "I've missed you," in a friendly way. And then they hugged. Too long. Too familiar. He sat down. She sat on his lap. He whispered something into her ear. She laughed. I don't remember what happened after that because I closed the laptop so hard the screen cracked. Trevor. My own brother. And suddenly her voicemail, the one where she said, "You don't know what you've started," made a sick kind of sense. She wasn't afraid I'd expose her. She was afraid I'd dig deeper. Because if I did, I might learn that the betrayal wasn't just romantic. It was strategic. And if she had involved my brother, then everything, every holiday, every family dinner, every fake smile, had been a performance in a play I wasn't allowed to audition for. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the corner of the room like a child, the cracked laptop still open, playing those words on a loop in my head. He's my safety net. Plan B. Would anyone miss him? By morning, something inside me had changed. I didn't want revenge. Not anymore. I wanted truth. Documented. Preserved. Unshakable. So when her next voicemail came through, with a shaky, "Emery, please, I'm scared. I think someone's been in our house," I didn't respond. Because someone had been in our house, and they'd left a camera on, but not the one she knew about. The next few days blurred into a routine I never expected to feel normal. I ate in silence, slept in short, sharp intervals. I took long walks down roads that led nowhere. And every night, I'd plug in the USB and watch a few more files. I rationed them like poison, small doses, never too much at once. Anymore, and I was afraid my mind might shut down completely. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. But I started recording my own voice. Not to send her. Not to post online. Just to remember who I was and what she did to me. I opened the voice memo app on my phone, held it close to my mouth, and whispered like I was scared someone might overhear. Day 1 without contact. She's still calling. Still pretending she doesn't know why. I watched the clip of her and Trevor again. I paused at the frame where she smiled. I think that broke me more than anything. I made a new recording every day. Sometimes short. Sometimes long. I didn't want revenge yet. I wasn't planning anything. I just knew I was slipping into something darker. Colder. And I needed evidence of who I used to be, in case I forgot. By day 7, the voicemails from Danica had shifted. Gone was the fake concern. Gone were the guilt-soaked apologies. Now she sounded angry. "You're punishing me," she snapped in one of them. "This isn't fair. You left. You can't just vanish. What do you want me to do? Beg?" In the next message, her voice dropped to something more venomous. "You think this makes you strong? You think this silence makes you a man? You're pathetic, Emery. Come back and grow up." She was unraveling, and she was still guessing. That's what gave me power. Because in her world, I was always predictable. I'd always come back. Only now, I wasn't just gone. I was watching. I hadn't planned to contact anyone. I had burned that version of myself. The man who explained, who asked questions, who begged for scraps of clarity. But one name kept circling in my mind like a loose screw in an engine. Blake. She mentioned him in a voice memo. Blake says it's cruel. Blake thinks I should tell him. Her tone, when saying his name, wasn't flirtatious. It was cautious. Like Blake knew too much. Like Blake might have had a line even he wouldn't cross. So I found him. He was easy to track down. Public dental records. Faculty bio on her practice's website. One short LinkedIn message from a fake account posing as a graduate student asking about job opportunities, and boom, I had his office schedule. I waited outside his building in a rental car he wouldn't recognize. Hoodie up. Windows cracked. I didn't even know what I was going to do when he came out. I just needed to see his face. To know if he wore the same shame Celine did. When he walked out, he looked ordinary. Not smug. Not evil. Just exhausted. I followed him to the cafe 2 blocks down. He sat alone, nursing a coffee. No laptop. No phone. Just staring out the window like something had emptied him. I walked in and sat across from him without a word. He froze. Didn't speak. Didn't blink. Then he whispered. I figured it was a matter of time. I said nothing. He leaned forward, voice low. If you're here to hit me, just do it. I won't stop you. I stared at him for a while, then finally asked, how long? He didn't ask what I meant. 3 months, he replied. Then she cut me off. Said it was getting messy. Said you were waking up. That's the word she used. He rubbed his hands together like he was scrubbing something invisible off his skin. I didn't know about Trevor, he added. I didn't know about anyone else. I thought it was just me. And her. I thought I mattered. There it was. The same realization I'd had weeks earlier. The same humiliation. She doesn't care about you either, I said, not with spite, just fact. He nodded slowly. Then he looked at me and asked, what are you going to do? I didn't answer, because I still didn't know. All I knew was this. I wasn't playing her game anymore. I was designing my own. And the first move was coming home. I returned on a Sunday. The street was quiet. Overcast sky, no wind. The kind of day you forget unless something unforgettable happens. And for her, it was about to. I didn't barge in. I didn't slam doors or scream. I know everything. That's what she would have expected. That's what she was hoping for. A fight she could win by flipping it, crying, manipulating the narrative. No, that's not the game anymore. Instead, I used the spare key from under the 3rd brick near the garden hose. A hiding spot she never bothered to change, even after I left. I stepped into the house like a ghost returning to the scene of his own funeral. The air smelled the same. That faint citrus cleaner she always overused to give the illusion of order. But it couldn't cover the underlying rot. Everything was in its place, exactly how she wanted it. Except me. I stood in the doorway for a while, just staring at the life I had once bent over backward to build. The coffee table we argued over for 3 weeks. The teal sofa she insisted was modern. The framed vacation photo from Charleston that she captioned online, still obsessed with him. That post aged like milk. I didn't come back for closure. I came for removal, a quiet erasure. So I began my work. I went room to room and collected every trace of myself. Not just the obvious things, but the invisible glue. The threads that held the illusion of us together. My books from the shelf? Gone. My toothbrush? Gone. That leather phone case she gifted me with our initials engraved? In the trash. But more than that, I removed my name from the electricity bill, from the joint grocery app, from the cloud calendar we shared. I signed off from our Spotify. I unlinked my card from the rideshare account she used under my profile. I removed myself from the infrastructure of our life. By the time I reached the bedroom, my pulse had slowed. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't sad. I felt like I was scrubbing a crime scene, sanitizing it. There, on her nightstand, sat the framed photo of us from our 2nd anniversary, the one where we were holding sparklers at that outdoor jazz bar. I remember thinking she looked like magic that night. But looking closer now, I noticed something I had never seen before. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking past me. I set the frame face down and left it there. I didn't touch her things. Not the box under the bed. Not the red coat she draped over the armchair. Not the perfume bottle she used so heavily before work dinners. I left it all untouched. I wanted her to walk in and know exactly what had changed, not by what was broken, but by what was missing. Because there's something terrifying about realizing someone left without a fight. That they didn't storm out, didn't shout, didn't plead. They simply decided you were no longer worth an audience. Before I left, I did one final thing. I placed a letter on the kitchen counter. It wasn't emotional. It wasn't angry. It was clinical. A bulleted list. I've removed all my belongings. Utilities and shared services have been separated. Legal separation paperwork is filed and en route to your work address. The spare keys have been melted down. The last 7 voicemails have been archived. Not for revenge, for record. Your secrets are yours to keep. I'm done being your storage unit. At the bottom, I wrote one final sentence. You said I was always around. Now I'm not. I didn't sign it. I knew she'd recognize the handwriting. I locked the door on my way out and walked 3 blocks to the bus stop. I didn't take my car. She'd expect that. I wanted to vanish again, but this time, with precision. As I waited, I got a notification. An incoming call from a number I didn't recognize. I declined it. 10 minutes later, another came in. Then another. And then finally, a text message. From Trevor. We need to talk. It's not what you think. Please. I didn't reply. I just screenshot it and added it to the archive. Because when you erase yourself cleanly, you don't leave fingerprints. You leave doubt. The text from Trevor was the last thing I saved before shutting off the burner phone I'd used for weeks. I didn't need to hear his voice. I didn't need his explanations. I didn't even need the full truth anymore, because the pieces I had were enough to form the picture I needed. Danica had betrayed me. Emotionally, mentally, strategically. And even now, I know she wasn't crying because she lost me. She was crying because she lost control of me. The final voicemail came on a Thursday, 3 days after I erased myself from the house, from our life, from everything that tied us together. Her voice was hollow, not broken, just empty, like she was finally sitting in the stillness she used to leave me drowning in. I came home, and it felt like a stranger lived here. Or no one at all. The keys were gone. The lights were off. Even the photos on the fridge, gone. You really did it, didn't you? You left without burning it down. There was a pause. I heard her sniff once. I thought you'd fight for me. I really did. But you didn't. And maybe that scares me more than anything. Because now I realize you were never the weak one. Click. That was the last time I ever heard her voice. The legal paperwork went through 2 weeks later. She didn't contest it. No back and forth. No dramatic pleas. She signed it and disappeared into whatever world she thought would keep her entertained next. I assumed Trevor faded from that world too. She probably burned him the moment his usefulness ended. But I never went back to that. Instead, I kept going forward. I moved to a small town near the coast. Rented a quiet studio above a bookstore. Nothing fancy, but peaceful. There's a tree that taps against my window when it rains. The owner downstairs lets me reorganize the shelves when no one's around. I rediscovered my love for things I hadn't touched in years. Sketching, jazz records, old radio dramas. I even adopted a dog, an older mutt with cloudy eyes and a limp. His name is Harvey. He doesn't ask for much. Just sits beside me like he understands silence the way I do now. And some mornings, I catch myself smiling. Not because I'm over it, but because I survived it. Danica will tell whatever version of the story suits her. Maybe that I ran away. Maybe that I was emotionally distant. Maybe even that I never truly loved her. That's fine. Let her. The truth isn't always loud. Sometimes it just is. And the truth is this. I gave everything I had to someone who treated it like spare change. And when I finally stopped giving, I found peace. Real, honest, boring peace. Not the kind with sparks and screaming and broken wine glasses, but the kind where you fall asleep knowing no one's lying beside you. And still you're okay. So if you're reading this because you're hurting, because someone you trusted made you feel invisible, let me say what I wish someone had said to me sooner. Your silence isn't weakness. It's power. And when you finally decide to stop begging for love and start giving it back to yourself, that's the moment they lose. And you win.